The exclusion of women and SA's poor from the information, communications and technology sector will further harm the country's economy, says Telkom Head of Strategy and member of the National Planning Commission, Dr. Miriam Altman. Speaking at the Wired Women's Conference in Johannesburg this week, Altman says the world is digitizing and a large population in South Africa remains excluded. The Wired Women's Conference hosts women from various sectors, including entrepreneurs and government, for discussion on ICT.
One of the key things that we know, everybody knows the thinking around the digital divide. It's a really serious issue. As we move in, from voice into the data world, into the digitization, into the cloud, starting to become the most central location for information exchange, if 70% of the population is not integrating, if government is not integrating into that world, but business is, then we start to entrench inequality even further and more than we already are.
As the world goes digital, the limited jobs available in SA could soon become redundant, further increasing the country's high unemployment rate. SA's unemployment rate grew to 25.5% in the second quarter of 2014, the highest level since 2008, and business continues to retrench more and absorb less staff. Altman says the country will experience structural unemployment as technology grows. She says the new activities will encourage new jobs to come along, but the jobs will not be high-paying, as most people will be unskilled in ICT.
It's obvious. There's going to be structural unemployment. Look, there is structural unemployment in our sectors. And the fact that, everybody knows MTN is retrenching, we're retrenching. It's not just a business cycle. It's a technology change. If you go to our exchanges, they're double-story buildings that are like ghost towns because the technology's changed. We don't need that much space anymore. They used to be buildings that were full. There's almost nothing in them anymore as the technology progresses. So that is going to be a feature as jobs get automated of a lot of what people do. And the more repetitive the activity is, the more the opportunity for automation, as we know. So a lot of jobs are going to start becoming redundant. And we're going to start, and of course there are going to be new activities as well. We see new kinds of jobs coming up all the time. But the problem is also that they're not high-paid jobs. They're not high-paid jobs in large part. And so you see where the inequality comes. That you've got a sector of people that do extremely well out of this, and a whole lot of people that either become redundant, have to make a transition. It's hugely disruptive. And we're going to have to be thinking again about the cost of living, about the character of social services, and the ability of the majority of the population to live in a reasonable way, not be living from crisis to crisis, be enabled to get these jobs, be enabled, so we've got to infuse this into the school system. I mean, we know that, but I don't know how much people understand, maybe people here get that, how crucial it is. I think it's seen as an additional thing, but it's actually an essential thing, because communication lies at the heart of everything.
SA's unemployment rate, poverty and high cost of bandwidth also contributes to the large population of South Africans excluded from taking part in ICT. As cloud services grow, a large amount of information goes onto the internet, a tool most South Africans still don't have. The role of women actively participating in IT is slowly growing in SA, but as the rest of the world, transformation remains slow. According to information technology professionals, though women in SA account for 55% of the workforce, only 20% are in ICT jobs. Speaking at the Wired Women's Conference in Johannesburg this week, lack of confidence, mentorship, and government support were cited as some of the reasons for the low number of women in the ICT sector.